What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Control the Narrative, episode 32. Shout out to everyone watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, and listening on Apple Podcasts. We see you. We have our second repeat guest on. We're starting to get to that stage where we've had a lot of different people on, and I'm bringing on some of my favorites again. So my guy Manny is joining us tonight. Manny, how's it going, bro?
Yo, what's going on, bro? Everything's good, man. I appreciate you having me back.
Of course, bro. Appreciate the time. I know that you were just like, yo, I'm going to stop in a diner and connect to some Wi-Fi, so appreciate you, doing what you got to do.
Whenever I could help out, I'm here.
Word,
Definitely.
Man. Cool. Let's get right into this. A lot of people know a lot about you from the last episode you were on, or like we were just talking off camera, you replying to a bunch of the tweets and controlling the narrative more than a lot of people were. So
yeah,
the latest kind of news, it's All-Star weekend, so we're going to make this a little bit of an All-Star centric episode. Straight up, do you think Melo was snubbed from this year's All-Star team?
I'm be honest with you, straight up snubbed? Nah, I don't believe so. As a fan though, most definitely I would love to see him be an All-Star. But when you look at the numbers, there are a couple guys that do deserve that spot more. And of course, with Melo being up there in age, I think it's okay. You know, we got 10 out of 18 years with the All-Star game for him. Every time that he did play, he delivered. So I'm fine with that. And I know the last one was 2017. If I'm not mistaken, that was in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And he expressed that it doesn't really matter to him because they get that week off. So that's more family time, time that he gets to bond with his family. So I'm pretty sure that's how he's looking at it. So if he's fine with it, I'm fine with it. You know, 10 is better than none. So
true, very true. At first, bro, he was playing like really well. Like his numbers were right there in terms of other guys, like not Towns, but like Gobert. Who else got snubbed as like Porzingis? He has better numbers than Porzingis and shit. So when I was first comparing these numbers, like a month ago, I thought, bro, he has like a legit shot to get one of those last spots, especially if one or two people get hurt or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Things didn't work out our way, and I'm not saying I wanted somebody to get hurt or some shit, but Melo wasn't an All-Star. But I think you're right. I don't think he got snubbed. I think, obviously, like you said, it would have been fucking dope as hell to see him back in the All-Star game, especially considering everything he's been through in this last year, as you and I know very well. But, I think Towns definitely got snubbed, and I'm going to Chicago this weekend. Not sure if I'm going to the game yet, but just the energy and everything that would have been there because of Melo. I know like a lot of people, he's been a big storyline this year, one of the major storylines of the year, obviously like all the Kobe stuff and everything, but for the first half of the year he was a major storyline just because he came back. This dude's an all-time great player, as you know. So as tough as it was not seeing him on the All-Star game, even though he finished 6th in forwards in the West, which if it was just the fans voting, he would have gotten in. I think you're right. I think he didn't deserve an All-Star spot, but it would have been great to see him.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Would have been great to see. I think just the fact how high he got in votes was surprising. Like you miss a year and change it, and you come back, and like he missed the All-Star game by the skin of his teeth. And once I realized he didn't get in based off fans, I already knew. Like after that, it goes down to media.
The coaches,
they still have that narrative. They still have that mindset. So it's pretty much over. I know you guys probably seen I try my best to get him as much votes as possible.
I remember you were voting on your coworkers' phones and shit.
Hell yeah, man. As soon as it came in, I was like, hey, give me that phone real quick. Let me see that. Let me talk to you.
Respect, bro. But who knows? Maybe if he has like a whole season under him and he gets more comfortable and more effective and shit, maybe we could see him next year.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe next year. But I mean, he's still an all-star caliber player. You know what I'm saying? But the West is also so stacked. But
that too.
We'll see. I mean, he barely missed it. Maybe next year, you're right. With a full season on his belt, he could sneak in there, in the back door.
All right, so Manny, I want to run you some numbers of two players in the 2014 NBA All-Star Game. and you tell me
Yeah.
who you think deserved MVP. Both of these players were on the East. I think you know where I'm going with this. But
Yeah, of course.
one player scored 31 points, 5 rebounds, and they had 14 assists with 5 turnovers. And another player scored 30 points with 5 rebounds, 2 assists, and 0 turnovers. And the second player set the NBA All-Star record at the time for 3-pointers made in an All-Star game with, I believe, 8.
8, yeah.
So, you know where I'm going. What do you think of these two players? Which one of those two do you think deserved All-Star MVP?
Me, honestly, as a fan, I don't want to be biased. Watching the game, I was like, yo, Melo got it in a bag. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought Melo was bringing that shit home. So when I saw he didn't get it, I kind of was confused. I honestly believe that he should have got it. You know, when you break a record, like, to me, no disrespect to Kyrie, I love Kyrie. When All-Star game, you're playing the point guard, you should have 14 assists. But he did display a full bag of tricks. He did display a full bag of tricks, and I think it was more of a promotion on, dragging LeBron to play with him in free agency. So I honestly believe that that's kind of why Kyrie won. But me personally, I think Melo should have got it. If they didn't feel that way, at least give him a co-MVP and let them share it. But if it comes down to it, I take breaking a record over 14 assists. Anybody could get 14 assists in an All-Star game handling the rock. So,
bro, I think that's a great point. I never really thought about it like that. And another thing is, like, they both shot the ball extremely well. Melo was 8 of 13 from 3. Kyrie was 14 of 17 from the field. It's a 1-point difference. They both have the same rebounds, and the only difference was the assists. So, do they value an extra 12 assists more than they do breaking a record in an All-Star game? I think that's what it really came down to. And choosing 12 assists over the All-Star game record for 3-pointers, it's just crazy to me. And I'm not saying Kyrie didn't ball out, like he didn't deserve that, but at least co-MVP like they did with Shaq and Kobe. Like, it's an All-Star game, so there's nothing wrong with having 2 MVPs. So I still think to this day, man, that was Melo's best shot at an All-Star MVP. He would always show out and shit, but he was never, the LeBron who would fucking get the ball and no matter what, like, go to the hole. Melo, like, he's kind of passive when it came to the All-Star game a lot. He would let other guys get their shots and their dunks and shit. So I'll never forget that. I remember I was in my friend's basement. We were, like, watching this. We were like, all right, cool, bro. Like, Melo's about to win MVP. Like, this shit is sick. Broke the record for 3-pointers. And then they come back and they give it only to Kyrie. And I was like, come on, bro. This dude can't catch a fucking break.
It's unfortunate, but that's just how it is. But I think if it was me handling the trophy, for sure, Melo got that on the shelf right now.
Word. All right, so you mentioned this off the top of your head, which I thought was pretty impressive, but Melo's made the All-Star team in 10 of his 18 years in the NBA.
Yeah.
So do you think that number sounds right? Do you think that's too little? Do you think that's too many All-Star games? I know you're a fan, but, like, what do you think about how many times he's been selected to the team?
To be honest, to have this many years under his belt in the NBA is a blessing.
For sure.
So to have 10 consecutive years as an All-Star, that's, like, super dope. We understand that he missed a couple because of injury. But I think 10 is a blessing. I think if you erase the injuries, he's definitely there with more. And then starting off, he spent so much time in the Western Conference with, like, those teams always being stacked.
Yeah.
It's like it's hard to pick. It's a lot of guys that miss out every year. So for you in your career, to make 10 out of 18, you got it. That's good enough. It's a lot of people that put up crazy numbers, and they'll see, like, 1 or 2. So 10 it's a blessing. I'll take that.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, you look at a guy like Mike Conley. Hasn't he never made the All-Star team? Either he's never made or he's made one or the other. And, like, I get that it's very guard heavy, the league and all that shit, but when Melo, like you said, when he was in the West in the early years, that fucking front court was stacked. They had Tim Duncan, Dirk, Yao, T-Mac, like all these dudes every fucking year. So Melo as like a 20-year-old, 21-year-old, it was really, really hard for him to be better than those guys. And you look at a guy like Ja Morant this year, balling out, but you look at the guys in front of him, Damian Lillard, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, so he might be, I mean, obviously he'll get a lot better and these guys will decline and all that shit, but he might be in a similar scenario where he's just in the wrong conference. Like, I think if Melo was in the East all those years, and I hate really talking about this, like, oh, if he was in the East, he would have went to the finals and all that shit, but when people look at, like, how many All-Star games Melo's been in, they're like, oh, shit, he was only in 10. Just like, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. Like, if he was in the East, he would have been in, like, 13, 14, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely.
Because in New York, he made it every single year. So it's like, imagine that in the West. So I thought that was interesting. I think, like you said, it's probably right. I think, if anything, maybe add, like, a couple more. But just the fact that he's been in the league for 18 years, balling the fuck out, not a dude at the end of the bench, like, putting up 20 points and making the All-Star game in more than half his years in the league, when it's hard to do that, man. There's so many good players and shit, so I think it's justified, and maybe I'll add like 2 or 3 more just because of which conference he was in.
Yeah, definitely. And then, like, the conference and then the injuries, I think he could have had 2 or 3 more under his belt. But, you know, unfortunately, it's something that we can't change, but I would take that 10 any day.
Very
I'll
true.
argue anybody over that.
So we'll bring it back a little bit into the now and stop talking about the past as much. Last night, the Blazers had a game. By the time this airs, this will be a couple days ago, but the Blazers beat the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler, but still pretty good win. Melo didn't play the last 4 minutes. I think it was 41 seconds or 47 seconds, whatever it was, in favor of Gary Trent, who was balling the fuck out. And, Stotts sat Melo and played Ariza and Trent instead. So what do you think about that, and are you, like, upset about it at all?
To be honest, I'm not upset about it at all. I think, like, moments like this solidify the narrative that people try to have on him as a bad teammate. With Melo's resume, no doubt, you would think that with the last 4 minutes in the game, closing out, you have him on the floor. But when you have guys that are rolling and they're closing out the game and they're in crunch time, you don't want to stop that momentum. Melo is smart enough. And I'm pretty sure they probably tried to check him in, and knowing Melo, he's probably like, nah, he's rolling right now. Let him go. You know, like, I'm fine with this. Like, we've seen Melo do that before. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a scenario. And plus, in this case, when you're fighting for a playoff spot, you know, if you got someone closing out the game and they're doing a hell of a job, it's cool. Close out that game, secure the win. You know, if we don't win, then I'm upset because I know something different could have been done. But I'll take the win over the minutes for now, fighting for that playoff spot. Because when it comes down to it, when you're in the playoffs, in those moments when it's a shorter rotation, we already know who's there on the floor. So regular season game not fazing me too much. It's cool. Gary Trent had those minutes. He's been balling the past couple games, so I'm happy for him.
And I think one thing that you didn't mention that I think really, like you said, solidifies him and goes against the narrative that everyone has against him is not only did he seem okay with it, but he was standing up, clapping, cheering, like giving advice in the huddles and all this shit. Like, I was watching, like, I kept an eye on him. I'm like, I want to see if he's like sulking, if he has like his hands and whatever, just like looking pissed off. But dude was like standing up at the end of the bench, clapping, cheering. Like, Lillard came over to him, Melo was telling him something. In the huddle, Melo was like bent over, like listening to the coach and seeing if he could give any feedback. So I think that could have been like a highlight in itself, just showing that. And if I could find the footage, man, I gotta find that and put that out there. But I think I'm okay with it too. Like you said, Trent has been balling out. He's surprised the hell out of me. A couple weeks ago, I didn't think this dude was an NBA player. I think he airballed like 4 or 5 threes in a row at one point, and I was like, man, like, what the fuck? I get he's gritty defensively and shit. But, yeah, I think in the regular season, if you have a guy balling out on fire like that, leave him in. I hope that Stotts communicated something with Melo just to let him know, like, Melo, I'm going to leave in Trent because he's heating up and he's giving us what we need. It seems like Melo and Stotts have a good relationship, which is good to see. But yeah, I just think that at first when I saw that, I was like, fuck, man, like, I don't know about this. I don't know how Melo's going to feel and all that shit. But when I saw him on the sideline in good spirits and cheering on the team, I was like, all right, if he doesn't care, then why should I?
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, not too much is bothering him. I think this is one of the best seasons that we've seen from him so far, especially from a leadership standpoint. He's just accepting everything thrown at him. And I honestly believe that's because of communication. Like, if you could find footage from that game and showing the spirit, like the aura that Melo is in with Trent balling out, and then you compare it to when you had Billy Donovan sitting Melo in situations like that, you could see the difference. And I think just the fact that Melo is well respected in that locker room and he's so appreciated by that organization, from coaching staff to fans, it's like he's okay with it. So we have to accept it. We just got to be happy for our guy.
Yeah. And another thing that I thought was pretty interesting about the whole thing was it's not like Melo was playing like trash. He shot, I think, 6 for 14, which isn't terrible at all. He seemed in the flow of the game. He was doing well defensively, dove on the floor a couple times, and like he hit a couple threes. So it's not like he wasn't out there because he was playing bad. It just so happened to be that somebody else was playing better than him, and I think that was another big thing. I think Donovan, he pulled Melo because he didn't think Melo was playing well. It's not like Jeremy Grant came in and was balling the fuck out. Like, Jeremy Grant was okay, but when you have a guy like Trent who was hitting threes nonstop, I think you got to leave him in there.
Yeah, definitely. It's whatever's best for the team at that moment. I think with Billy Donovan, it was more of an ego thing.
100%.
And then with Stotts, it's just like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we got to go with. I hope you understand. We got you next game. So it's not that big of an issue. And like you said, I know you're not a huge Trent fan, but he has been balling the last couple of games.
No, for sure.
He does also have his games where it's like, yo, where the hell is this guy? But just that leadership from Melo is like, it's incredible. And I know you got a lot of people watching this. There's this one clown the other day that said, in the clutch, why is Melo, out there? I believe it was the game against the Jazz when Swanigan missed a shot.
Yeah.
Just the fact that Melo had enough confidence to swing that ball to him, and Swanigan put up the shot, he missed it, and then Melo was like the first person to show him, let him know like it's okay, it's all right. Like, he's so underappreciated as a leader. It's crazy, but I'm telling you, once his team gets the ball rolling, they're gonna be scary. A lot of teams are gonna be sorry for counting them out.
Now that the trade deadline has came and passed, the Blazers made that move, I think a week before the deadline, trading Bazemore and Anthony Tolliver for Ariza, Swanigan, and Gabriel. Do you think they fucked up by not making another move, or are you kind of happy with the roster as it is right now and just waiting for Nurkic and Collins to come back?
I think I'm okay with it. I honestly think I'm okay with it. Because, Tolliver was a guy that he would show up on certain nights. Sometimes he's ready, sometimes he's not. Bazemore, he's an okay dude. Very high energy, but he just runs. He just goes. And I feel like at times, if you watch some of those games where you have him and Melo on the floor, he would feel like he was obligated to take those shots over Melo. Or sometimes he would try to get to the same spots as Melo.
Yeah.
I feel like bringing in Ariza, it spreads the floor more. And when you spread the floor more, it's easier for a guy like Melo to get to his spots because Melo loves that mid-post game. So when you space the floor, it opens up for everyone now. So I think that Ariza is a huge addition. And then if you trade more pieces, then you kind of, you got to fix rotations. And it's just tougher because, a lot of people may say things about the Blazers being nice, but you got to remember last year, we understand they went to a Western Conference Finals, but 7 of those players that were in that Western Conference Finals are gone.
It's a lot.
And then 3 out of 5 starters are hurt. So you just got to accept it. I think Stotts has done a magnificent job handling things the way he is handling them. And it's not like we're like kicked out of the playoffs completely. So I think the roster that we have now is good. You got Nurk and Collins coming back, and then you could just fix, tweak rotations a little bit, and then just get the ball rolling. But I like this roster right now. I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I was rooting for another trade at the time, but I didn't know Whiteside was gonna play like how he's been playing lately. Like he's been balling the fuck out, Hassan Whiteside, at both ends of the court. Defensively,
Yeah.
just a huge presence. Forget the blocks. Just him being in the paint has altered so many shots. And I think it was either him or McCollum. McCollum, or Simons were the real trade pieces. I didn't feel
Yeah.
like they were ready to give up Simons. McCollum, that would have really broken shit apart, and I didn't think they were ready to do that. And then Whiteside, I have no idea whether they tried to trade him or not, but he played so well leading up to that deadline that it was almost impossible to trade him because they were going to have to ask for a lot back, and he's an expiring contract. I'm pretty sure he's a free agent in the summer or next year. So it was really tough. I think that they did make that move at the deadline, which was good. And after everything, I just don't think they had enough pieces that they could have moved. And like you said, it fucks up the rotations too, because Ariza kind of just went in for Bazemore and Swanigan just went in for Tolliver, so it was pretty even. The rotations didn't change
Yeah.
too much, which you want at this point in the season. You want consistency. You don't want one guy playing 15 minutes the next game and 40 the next, and
Yeah,
8 the
definitely.
next.
Now,
So
if you're talking off season and then you making moves, then it's
right,
okay because you get a whole training camp and
right,
preseason under your belt, and you got to think next year you got Nurk and Collins fully healthy. We'll see if they bring back Whiteside, and you got Melo. I wish the best of luck and a speedy recovery to Rodney Hood. Hopefully he comes back well, and then you got Ariza. So they're gonna be a lengthy, long team that could hit the three, play defense, and they all gonna run. So, I mean, whatever happens this season happens, but next year, don't count those Blazers out for sure. A fully healthy squad, scary.
all right. So we're gonna shift gears a little bit into the New York Knicks. They are reportedly hiring Leon Rose of the CAA, who is also Carmelo's agent, to become president of basketball operations. Given this news that hasn't been announced yet, but everyone kind of knows is going to happen, what percent do you give the chance that Carmelo Anthony returns to play for the New York Knicks at some point in the future?
If I'm giving my honest opinion, I mean, first year there, with Leon Rose coming in, if they do decide to bring him in, being brutally honest, 0%, 0%. And I say that because you just see the way that the organization treated Melo on his way out. It was tough. I think they also kind of like messed up during the off season, beginning of the season, like training camp and everything. They brought him in for a couple practices and scrimmages, and knowing this guy's trying to get back, and they would like throw out reports that he was looking like the best player on the floor. You don't just have someone come in and say they're looking like the best player on the floor, and then you don't sign him. At that point, you're kind of just wasting this guy's time. Yeah, you putting out something for the media, but why not take the chance on him? I would have threw him the contract, the vet minimum, and you bring him in, and then that group of guys that they had, things could have been different. But me personally, I think it's zero chance. If I was Melo, I wouldn't even have. I understand as an agent, I wouldn't even give him the conversation, the time of the day to even think about returning to the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? I think he should just finish as a Blazer, see how far he could get, and just go from there. I think me personally, just end it with Portland. I would love to see him return to New York, but we didn't appreciate him enough. So me personally, we don't deserve him. So I think we should just let him be happy. Finish in Portland, see how close you could get to winning something, or actually like winning everything, which is going to be tough in the West.
Yeah.
But right now, Melo's looking at whatever's the best situation. Unfortunately, it's not New York. But I mean, things could change though. We got new management, so we'll just have to see how everything goes.
Yeah, I when you say like, you just want him to be happy and all that shit. We know that even through all the bullshit and the bad teammates and the Phil shit, he was always happiest in New York. Like, this is where he wanted to be, and he was here until they fucking pulled him away and, like, forced him out, essentially. So, I think that if there was an opportunity for him to come back on a semi-winning team, like a playoff team or whatever, I would think he would do it. I don't really know, obviously, but percent chance, I'm just gonna throw that out there, that he plays a game for the Knicks in the future, I would give it 15, just because if they get semi-decent and he decides, all right, I want to only play one more year, I could 100% see him come back, finish with the Knicks, where he always wanted to be, and then kind of really, like, the fans didn't appreciate him like they should have, like you said, but I feel like if he has this one last farewell tour, I know that if he was listening to me right now or watching this, he would get pissed off because he doesn't like that shit, the farewell tour, but if he had one last season with the Knicks, I'm not saying it's next year, I'm not even saying it's the year after that, but whenever he decides, all right, this is going to be my last year, I think seeing him in the Knicks uniform would be absolutely amazing. And I think he may not have had the best relationship with, like, a guy like Steve Mills, but I think with the new management, I think he's always had a good relationship with Dolan. Like, Dolan's always protected him, and he gave up the fucking farm for Melo in the first place, so Dolan's always been a Melo guy, which is kind of a good thing. So yeah, I see Leon Rose. He's obviously Melo's boy, and I just start dreaming. Both you and I being New Yorkers, just seeing him back on the floor at MSG in a New York jersey, just I mean, don't get me.
I would 100% love to see it. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But like you said, we got to see the pieces that are around, and we got to see where Melo's at mentally in that stage of his career. But who knows? Maybe he gives them that one final run. This is the last year. He, shows them why that number 7 has to be in the Raptors, which even if he don't return, it belongs there. But we'll see what happens.
All right, so we're gonna go back to All-Star Weekend for a second. Want to get your thoughts on this? I thought about this before, and I was like, fuck, I don't know which one I would pick. Over his career, so you can pick any Melo from any season. Do you think he would have had a better chance of winning the dunk contest or the three-point shootout?
Dunk contest or three-point shootout?
Yeah, so you can say, like, 2005 Melo versus 2013 Melo in the shootout. You could pick whichever Melo you want for each contest. Which one do you think has the best chance of winning?
Me personally, I go with the three-point shootout, three-point contest. 2013 Melo, hands down.
Yeah.
Like, that dude could not miss nothing. Like, if he wanted to, he wasn't missing. So I definitely go with 2013 Melo for the three-point contest. Melo dunk contest, any Melo, I don't really see it happening. Just you never really see him get too creative on dunks. So it's kind of tough. I mean, he can get up there. Don't get me wrong, he can get up there, but you never really seen him like do too many things flashy. You even seen this guy like on fast breaks, he'll take a layup over the dunk.
Yeah,
or he'll
do little like finger roll.
Quick fast, two-hand, throw it down.
Yeah.
So I take the three-point contest. I think that proves a little bit more.
When I'm going with you too.
You show somebody that you lights out.
I'm going with you too. I thought at his peak he was a better three-point shooter than he was at his peak a dunker. Like he would rock the rim and do some shit like that, but when this dude gets hot from three, he was one of the best shooters in the league. And not even when he gets hot, just that whole season, man, he hit at such a high clip and was just so unstoppable. So I don't know why he was never in the three-point shootout. I would have fucking loved to see him. I thought he would have had a legit shot in any of those years. If he gets fucking hot, then never fucking know.
Yeah, I mean, but you never really see him participate in that many events besides the actual All-Star game. And I think it's honestly because, like he said, he likes to enjoy that time with family. So that's okay. But I mean, I think if he entered, he definitely would have a chance to win. Like, he's arguably the best scorer that we've ever seen in the league. One of the best. You got a lot of guys. We had Kobe. Melo, Durant. A lot of people agree with Durant. I think what separates them is like Melo's footwork in post game. But Melo definitely lights out. So 3-point contest, I think he has a shot. He could win one if he would have entered early in his career.
Yeah. What about now? Like, let's try to get this campaign going for next year to get him in this fucking shootout.
I mean, honestly, now I like Melo can hang with the best of the best. Definitely, I honestly think if he wanted to and he joined, then yeah. It depends also who joins it. If you got like Steph and Clay going at it again, it's a little bit tough.
Fair.
But I think if he wanted to, he could do it. He's definitely still lights out. He could still, shoot from long distance.
Yeah.
One thing I want to point out that's interesting though is they try to make it seem like the league is like 3-and-D, and this year he's killing it from mid range, and that's something that they said was dead in the league, and he's doing everything from mid range, mid post, low post, getting his buckets from there. So,
and being effective at it too, not just volume.
Exactly.
Shooting.
So if he stops being so hesitant and he starts pulling the trigger on those threes like he did in 2013,
yeah.
Oh man, people better watch out. That's an MVP caliber player.
And also building on that, we saw the mid-range last year win a team a championship.
Exactly.
So when people say shit like, "Oh, it's 3-and-D" or "the mid-range is dead," Kawhi legitimately carried the team on his fucking back by mainly shooting mid-rangers. So
a guy that idolized Melo, for those who don't know.
Yeah.
So that speaks a lot for stuff right there. We didn't got to touch too much on that.
Yeah. We play a little game here, Manny. I don't know if we played it last time you were here. I don't think so. But we kind of do something, where were you when? Iconic moments in Melo's career. And moments that you remember, like, fuck, I remember I was here or there or whatever. So last time we had you on, it was before Melo got signed. So we want to know, where were you when Melo actually did get signed to the Blazers? Or when you got that Woj notification, whatever.
All right, so I had just walked in at home from work. I just walked in the house, and I see a Facebook notification, and it's one of my friends, and he tags me. He's like, "Yo, Melo to the Blazers." So everybody knows I've been on a big bring Melo back campaign. I stopped watching games. I was like, I didn't want anything NBA affiliated until he was back. So my first response was, "Yo, stop fucking with me." Honestly, like this is not a time to joke. I'm not even in the mood right now. Coming home from work, I hadn't been Woj bombed or anything yet. Those alerts ain't come in yet. So I'm thinking he's fucking with me. So first thing I do, I go to Google. I don't see anything. Then my phone is like lighting up, and everybody's texting me like, "Yo, congratulations, you're coming back!" And then I see Woj like, "Yo, Melo's on the Blazers," and I'm just like, "Yo, this is crazy!" Like, I run outside, I'm going crazy. My family's happy because Melo's he's big in my household, so it was like huge. It was fucking crazy to me. I couldn't believe it. And the day before, I actually had tweeted that I think the Blazers should pick him up. They was on like a little losing streak, and then they actually picked him up. I was like, what the fuck? Like, yo, God is good.
It's fucking crazy shit, man.
Yeah, just walking in the house, man. I was having a tough day at work, and Melo got signed. That whole day flipped around. It was like, it's one of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah, for real. Just for him to fucking battle back through all that shit. I don't want to go too into it, but I was at MSG watching the Knicks versus Mavs game, Porzingis' first game back, so I was already screaming the whole fucking night. I think it happened near the end of the first quarter or midway second, some shit like that. So I'd been screaming for at least half an hour at this point, booing the fuck out of Porzingis, and I was wearing a Melo jersey. So someone behind me goes, "Yo, free Melo," and then I turn around and I was just like that or whatever. He goes, "No, Melo's free. Look, he signed with the Blazers." And this dude showed me Woj's tweet, and I was just like, I couldn't believe it, bro. I went on Twitter and I saw that shit. I went live shortly after. I was with one of my friends who's also a diehard Melo fan. We were just fucking hugging each other, jumping up and down, screaming, and there was a fucking buzz around MSG. You could hear oh my god, people were screaming, not screaming, but people were talking, looking at their phones, high-fiving each other and shit. So it was fucking magical, man.
actually remember you going live that game.
Yeah, you
And when I stopped watching the live, that's actually when I got the notification.
Oh,
And then when
word.
I got the notification after I calmed down in my house, you were actually the first person that I text.
Yeah.
Like, yo, we got somewhere.
We
So
did.
it was just like super dope, like to find out have them back. For me, it was like I couldn't believe it because I was like, hell no way, like. You know, I was so used to guys just picking at me like, yo, you really believe this guy's going to come back?
Exactly.
Just holding it 10 toes down for Mel, and then he coming back like, oh, man. I've been on a rampage ever since. Every good game, every bad game, I don't care. Like, I'm talking shit. So
it was almost like when it happened, I couldn't believe it, but just I was starting to lose hope, man. Like, to be honest with you, I couldn't tell anybody that because I had to, like, keep this confidence going, like it's all good, and just keep faith. But I was losing hope, man. I was like, fuck. Then after the Nets thing didn't go through, I was like, shit, man. KD and Kyrie are both pushing for him, and they still didn't sign him. I was like, this is not a good sign. And I was putting out the hashtag free Melo tweets, like just kind of hoping. And that day, like you said, a day I'll remember for the rest of my life, for sure.
Yeah, I think that that whole Brooklyn situation, we both were really upset at it because we figured that's where he would land. When you automatically think when you have guys like KD and Kyrie asking for Melo, you automatically think it's gonna go through, and that wasn't the situation. Right. And I honestly believe right now, like they missed out the most by not taking that chance on him. I think they're probably the angriest team out of all the teams that had a chance to sign Mel. I honestly believe they are the angriest.
Them or the Lakers?
They missed out the most. I don't think the Lakers really being the seeding that they're at and the stands. It would have been nice to see them play with the Lakers. And I honestly think that the reason why that didn't go through, as much as we may blame Braun for not getting him on the team, I think it could just be them looking at, oh, you turned us down the year before, even though they weren't going nowhere. That's what I honestly believe. But I think, like, Brooklyn right now, everybody expected them to be a higher seed.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And we also looked at it like, if you pick up Melo now, he could hold it down till Durant gets back next year. And he's proven that this year. So, in my opinion, I think Brooklyn is the angriest team. I think it's affecting them the most out of all other teams.
All right, Manny, so we reached the end of the podcast, end of this episode. At the end, we always allow our guests to control the narrative around whatever it is that they want to control the narrative about. So, Manny, what do you want to control the narrative about tonight?
One thing I want to control the narrative about, I would say, man, for the Blazers, for everyone that's down, everybody's hating, just be patient. They're getting things cooking. They're getting things rolling. They're almost there at 100% as a team. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to congratulate you on how far you've come with this show. I know we honestly feel like, you know, we're not the reason why Melo's back, but we somewhat played a part in it, just pushing so much. So for those that's rocking with Melo, stay Melo. For those that's hating on Melo, just hit us up. We got something for you. It's always time for a response. You know, I'm with everything, whatever people want to argue about. But I think we've done our job with Melo. But one thing I want to throw out there is I know a lot of people, you know, we just had this conversation, don't like JR. But, yo, Free Swish, man, that's a good dude right there. For those who haven't taken the time out, you know, watch the episode All the Smoke, get to know him as a person, watch some interviews, get to know him as a person. He's a dope dude, a guy that honestly belongs in the league. So that's all I could control the narrative on is, you know, stay Melo, stay patient, and Free Swish at the moment, honestly.
Word, man. Word. Cool, bro. Well, again, always appreciate your insight, and you know you're one of the most diehard fans out there, so I appreciate you taking some time out and enlightening all the followers with some shit.
Yeah, definitely, bro. Whenever you need me, you know I'm here. Just reach out.
Of course. I saw it last time when you were going from bus to train and all that shit and still fucking hopping on the show for us, so...
man. I'm sorry about the episode. I'm happy that we got a better one.
No, of course, bro. It was fucking last second, so... It meant a lot. Cool, it meant a lot, man.
Yo, thank you for having me, bro.
Of course, bro. Thanks for hopping on.
All right.
Peace.
Anytime. All right. Later.